Providing insights to help you grow your business, improve yourself, and add value to those around you. You're listening to the Success is a Choice podcast, where you get a peek into the lives of industry leaders as they share their stories with you.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Success is a Choice Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Jamy Bechler, and today we have the Leaders Growing Leaders Series Podcast Network. A reminder, this episode is made possible by the leadershipplaybook.com, the leadershipplaybook.com. Great teams have great teammates. If you're a coach, if you're an athletic director, if you are a parent, your student athlete means a lot to you, and your culture of the team means a lot to you. So the better teammates, the more positive leaders you have, the stronger culture that you'll have as well. Joining us today on the Leaders Growing Leaders series is Keith Burke. Keith Burke is the superintendent at Marion Community Schools in Indiana. He's a longtime high school principal and very successful football coach in his own right. Keith Burke, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Jamie. I appreciate you having me.
Well, awesome. We're going to jump into this. Our show is called the Success is a Choice podcast. And you've been a coach, you know, and oftentimes the success is rated or measured by that scoreboard. You're in education, public education, sometimes test scores, that kind of stuff. But what is kind of your definition, or what's your view on success?
You know what? My definition of success is how well the people that have worked with me and that have worked, I guess you would say, under me, even though I think it's more of a collaborative effort, how that they have turned out in life. And same thing goes with my players. It's not about wins and losses with that. It's seeing them succeed in life that makes me feel that I'm successful. I can tell you right now that you're only as good as the people around you and the people you surround yourself with. And, you know, that to me is the most important thing, is surrounding yourself with good people, being there to encourage, being there to show, but allowing them also to lead. Don't micromanage people. Let them have let them have their time in the sun. And I think that's extremely important, is to allow people to lead and allow people to learn and to do their job.
Well, let's piggyback on that. Let's build on that. As a coach, you've hired a staff. As a head coach, you've hired a staff, and that staff has helped you win a lot of games, helped you be successful. As a principal, you've hired plenty of teachers, plenty of staff. Now, as a superintendent, you've also done the same thing. You've been through a lot of this. Is there a secret sauce? Is there a magic wand that you wave, or how do you get the right people around you?
Well, it's not an exact science, I can tell you that. And, you know, the thing that I will say is that I think that as long as I stated, that you're treating people with respect, that you're allowing them to grow, that you're showing them the way, I think that's how you develop leaders. Is, first of all, also it's got to be a lead by example thing. So the fact of the matter is if you're sitting at your desk and you're telling everybody what to do, that's not successful. As coaching, I can tell you right now, I was a hands-on football coach. I was on the field with the players. I was showing them the techniques. I was walking through it. I think that's the way it has to be. Again, if they're not viewing you as someone that is walking the walk and not just talking the talk, people are not going to believe in you and not going to believe in what's going on. But I think it's also so much. Todd Whitaker wrote a great book, and what great teachers do differently, what great administrators do differently. And I can tell you that one of the biggest things I got out of that is getting the right people on the right seats on the bus, ensuring that they're in the right spots, and once you get them in the right spot, giving them the opportunity to go, let them spread their wings.
Is there a question you like to ask during an interview process, or some strategy to kind of figure out the intangibles, or figure out, all right, this person is going to be the right person I want on my bus, and I'm going to be able to put them in the right seats because they're exactly what we're looking for. Is there something that you look for in specific?
Well, I can tell you something that I always look for in interviews is I don't like the word I. I literally will mark a little checkpoint every time they say the word I. I can tell you right now, and I just said I, any of my success has been because we have developed things, not I. I can tell you right now, I've done nothing by myself. It is always we. And that is so important. If a coach comes in and says, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, it's probably not the right guy, because the fact of the matter is that means you won, you lost. It wasn't a team effort. You're not letting people coach. You're not letting people do the things that they need to do. And you can't do it all by yourself. So if you're not a team player, if you're not someone that can collaborate and communicate, it's not going to do well. So I can say that's one of the, so I guess it would be more of what the response is to any question as far as talking about their past. The more eyes I hear, the more concerned I get. I want someone that's a collaborative leader and someone that also, again, believes in their staff and allows them to do their job.
We, us, ours is great.
Yes,
the more you hear that,
I want to hear. Absolutely. And that doesn't go, again, superintendent, you're a CEO of a business. I mean, I have over 1,000 employees total at Marion Community Schools. So the thing is that it goes for not just a coach, not just an athletic director. It's for the world, for business world. I mean, if you have people that are solo, isolated, they're not going to do well in this world.
Well, you mentioned collaboration, and as a coach, you've had to build a team of people, filling the gaps for each other, having each other's back, working together. Some have strengths that others don't have. Some have weaknesses others don't have. And so they collaborate. Principal, same thing. Superintendent, the same thing. What are some specific things or some things maybe you can help us with or give us ideas about how to bring people together, how to create a better team? Maybe not so much in the football realm, even though we have a lot of coaches watching this, but just in general, how do you bring a whole bunch of high performers, teachers, even administrators together?
Well, again, I think it's a situation. So give an example with our principals meetings, everything is shared leadership. So I'm not going to sit up there and be the sage on the stage. The deal is that I'm going to present usually something in our leadership meeting that may take 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. It's going to be my presentation. And then I'm going to have one of my principals present something that I know that they do very well. And they're going to learn from each other. The fact of the matter is that if you're, again, it all boils down to, and I think you can see my theme, it's being a team. And it's not, like I said, not about sports, but it's being a team. I think that you've got to hold people accountable. Let's just be real straight. And that's the fun, not so fun part of the job. The deal is that you have to have people to give you goals that are the same, basically aligned with your organizational goals. You've got to let them lead, but you got to hold them accountable for their results. And that's what I tell my principals. I tell my central office administration, I'm not going to micromanage you, but I'm going to hold you accountable for your results. So, that's why it's so important to, when you're interviewing, get that right person in there, because again, you're going to let them lead. Now I'm not going to let them fall on their face. If I see that slide, I'm going to go talk to them. I'm going to give them advice. I'm going to collaborate with them, because again, I think that's important too. We don't let our teammates fall. We're there to pick them up. I tell people all the time, my goal is, when I hire someone, I tell them that if you are not in this organization in 5 years, you fired yourself. And what I mean by that is, you've not done the things that you've told me you're going to do in this interview. You've not done so we have a kind of a verbal agreement right now that you're going to do these things that you're saying that fit with what we want to do. And I'm not going to fire you. You're going to fire yourself, because you're not going to do the things that you've said that you're going to do. You're not going to collaborate. You're not going to communicate. You're not going to lead. You're not going to get people excited about what they're doing. And if you don't, it's not the right place for you. So, I think that, a strategy, again, that I think is just extremely important is to recognize people's strengths and let them develop others. And so I think that we do a really good job in that organization right now. We have certain principals that are really, really solid in certain areas. and need some growth in other areas. Well, we have other principals that are great in that area. Let's team them together. Let's let them learn from each other and again, gain strength from the other's knowledge.
Is there been a time that you look back on your career and you're like, okay, that's when it all clicked for me. That's when I understood this. And maybe it's, being that jock football coach, the stereotypical football coach, and now you're a superintendent, but was there a time it clicked with, hey, I'm starting to figure out this leadership thing? You never have arrived as a leader, but was there some time that you can put your finger on?
Yeah, and actually it was probably not with coaching. It was probably when I was a high school principal, because I tell people I have been the dumbest person in the room on about 6 or 7 occasions. And that's every time I take over a job for the first time. And what I mean by that is the first time I was a high school principal, I fell into that. This is my school. This is my ideas. These are my values. These are I didn't care about anybody else's. And I can tell you when it smacked me in the face was when a guy that I have become really close to, was a successful principal. His name was Ed Freege. He was at Lawrence Central and in Indianapolis. And I called him, I consider him a mentor. His wife taught with my wife, and I considered him a mentor. And Ed said, Keith, you know what? You are doing unbelievably well. You're doing great. You are winning the race. Matter of fact, you've lapped everyone. The thing is, nobody's following you anymore. They've all dropped off the track. And it was very clear to me that if I didn't have buy-in into what was going on, it didn't matter how great I thought my idea was. If I didn't have collaboration and other people that believed in that idea, I wasn't going to be successful. And that was kind of my aha moment of waking up that, hey, listen, doesn't matter how intelligent you are, how great you are, if nobody's following you, it doesn't matter. So that was the aha moment for me that, hold it, this is not a dictatorship. We're going to have to treat this more like a democracy. We're going to have to get other people involved in this to be successful.
Well, when you first went to Marion, it was a little different situation in two ways. One not so different is that you took over for a legend.
Yes.
Lennon Brown was the principal, very well known. He had taken Marion High School from essentially a zero to hero. He had really changed that up. And people take over for legends.
Yes.
But the situation was interesting because you were brought in to replace him before he had left. So there were two principals in the building. There was the guy that was going to be, and the guy that was going to be retiring. And so you guys were together for about a semester, for about 3 or 4 months.
Yes.
Walk us through that process. Did you learn anything from that? And probably none of us are going to go through a situation exactly like that, but we certainly might go through a situation where we replace a legend or have to work with a legend as they're retiring or as they're leaving.
I can tell you this, that the first thing that I'll say is somewhat of a comical thing, but not. Don't remind someone all the time that you're replacing a legend, because that was the very first thing that I would say is that when I got there, I was like, ugh. Everyone had told me what a wonderful job that Lennon had done. Now, let me say this, Lennon did a wonderful job. Another thing that I would say is learn from their success. Do not come in and decide that you're going to change the world. Say what I did. I had a great opportunity to spend time with him and see the things that they were doing. And the team, when I talked about that team concept, the team had bought into it. So the worst thing I could have done would have been to come in and change 20,000 things. So I picked maybe 1 or 2 things that I felt like we could tweak, and we stayed with the others. And I can tell you again, you put people feel the need sometimes to overhaul, to put their stamp on things. It's not necessary sometimes. If you're going into a successful business, if you're going into a successful school, if you're going into a successful program, look at the things that they're doing well. Learn from them. Don't reinvent the wheel. I can tell you that is the one thing that I will say I learned from Lennon. And also Lennon also did tell me that if I mess it up, that he was going to do things to me that are not anatomically even possible. So I will tell you that there was a little bit of the fear factor too, that I came in, he had done a great job. And again, we were very fortunate that we continued. We were an A school after that and have continued to be an A or B school every single year since. And Marion had not been an A or B school in about 20 years before that. So we took the things that Lennon did. We maybe tweaked, but we did not change because he had done such a great job. And I think people again are afraid of that. They want to have their stamp on things. Well, again, if you're taking over a program or a corporation or anything, if it's a corporation and your profit margin is great and things are going well, why would you want to come in and change it? You may tweak a couple of things that you feel like you could grow, but let's not reinvent the wheel. And I think that would be the thing that I learned so much from that. Another thing, it was a great opportunity for me to collaborate, communicate, and get to know everyone before I jumped in that leadership role, so it wasn't cold. And I think that I built trust with people before I started, which was great opportunity.
Yeah. And you mentioned something there too, that is I think so important, whether you're taking over in a good situation or it's a bad situation and you need to change a lot of stuff. You don't have to change everything at one time. And I think a lot of us, and I know I've been in this situation. One of my biggest regrets as a leader is in fact, for the audience that doesn't know, we work together.
Yes.
For 2 years, I was the athletic director at the school when you came in. So that we were rookies at the same time.
Yes.
But I was tasked with overhauling the athletic department, and we tried to implement as much as we could change-wise right away. We wanted to come in guns a-blazing because that was our edict. That's what the superintendent that had hired me wanted, was change. But I went about too much change. And even though it might be good, it's too much. And so you mentioned pick your battles. You've got to pick your battles and be more strategic with the change, whether it's good or bad.
Well, let me say this, you're a little hard on yourself, because as an athletic director, I thought you did a wonderful job. And I can tell you that your leadership with our coaches and other items, I thought that you did a phenomenal job. I agree with you. I know you were tasked to change a lot of things, but I will tell you, I really enjoyed working with you, and you did a great job. So don't sell yourself short on that. I can tell you that you're one of the best ADs I've worked with.
Well, I appreciate that. Going back to something we said earlier, I obviously saw you when you first came in, and you weren't the administrator that was sitting behind your desk. Now, first of all, you really didn't have necessarily your own desk, because Lynn Brown, the principal, was still there.
Wherever my desk was.
Right. But I could tell that wasn't you. You weren't necessarily the guy that's going to be 8 hours dotting I's and crossing T's and making sure the TPS reports are done correctly.
Yes.
You're a walking around type person. You want to be in the trenches with the students, with the teachers, with your staff. And that was very impressive to me, because not every administrator does that. And so I absolutely, I'll come back at you with kudos and compliments to you on that, because I think that's so important. Because when you're a staff member or you're a student and you think of your principal, a lot of times you think of, all right, discipline, or you think of, they're the person that's heavy handed, or they're the person that I don't like, or whatever. Well, that's not always the case when you're connecting.
Right. And I think that's very important too. And I will say that in these roles, sometimes people may not like that, because I am not one to sit in my desk. And a lot of people expect the superintendent to be sitting in his office. And our previous superintendent is a great guy, but he was in his office a lot. He was out and about when events and things, but I'm saying throughout the day, he was in his office a lot. I'm out all the time. I'm in the buildings. So our principals, I can tell you, they see me literally every week. I'll be in their building. But I also, the thing that's great is I share in their successes. What I mean by that is like, we just got some great data with our iReady scores, which is our prep for our state test. And with that, I mean, I was able to send like actually over the last couple of days, send about 20 teachers individual emails complimenting them on what I've seen in their classroom. And then on top of that, how they've done on their iReady and what they're preparing. It to me, that it also is not a threatening thing when they see me anymore. Mm-hmm. So when the boss walks in, it's not like, oh, there's the boss. The kids still have that a little bit. I will say something funny. I found out that I'm not the boss. I am the president. of the school district. And I said, it's pretty funny because a parent put on there that their mom and dad said that the president was there today and he had a picture with me and him. And they said, that's the superintendent. It's not the president. But again, it's just, I think being collaborative, but also being visible and being approachable is so important. I think no matter how high we go within our organizations, if we don't value and respect the person that is our custodian, our cafeteria worker, any of those people, if we don't treat them with the same respect that we treat our central office people, we're not leading.
Yeah, 100%. And oftentimes, we think, well, we need to make sure that our main boosters are treated well, or we need to make sure that the people that can help us are treated well. Take care of those who take care of you. Take care of everybody. Everybody has value. And some of the most overlooked people in a school district are secretaries, are temps, our bus driver, our custodians. Yeah. Those are the people, it's not necessarily the money bucks people. Those are the people that keep the wheels on the bus turning, literally. And it's so important. Yeah, absolutely. I know as an athletic director, or even when I was a basketball coach, I didn't know how to pull out the bleachers all the time, or I didn't know where the plug goes for the, sound system or whatever.
Yeah.
I needed those people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I was the smartest person there, we were in trouble because nothing was getting done. But my sixth grader, Jalen, we went.
How's he doing? Sorry to interrupt. How's he doing?
He's doing awesome, but he just turned 13, so he thinks he's a man now. He thinks he's an adult, and he now gets to play Fortnite. We put it off for a long time, but now he's 13, so he can play Fortnite. But the school district we're in now, we had an athletic auction, a silent auction. And so we bidded on principal of the day and we won. So Jalen got to be principal for the day and he was all excited. And we told him, well, a principal just has to do paperwork and work all day. He's like, no, but no, he was principal of the day for one day. He wanted to he made a list of all the kids he wanted to put into in-school suspension. Fortunately that didn't happen, but he did get to test the fire alarms and carry a walkie-talkie.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Well, you tell Jalen I said hello and your wife as well.
Awesome. I appreciate that. So you obviously, I'm going to guess, are probably a better leader, a better administrator than you were 5 years ago, or you were 10 years ago, or 15 years ago. What are some ways that you're better now? Or what are some mistakes you've made that allows you to get to this point?
I think that I would say that a way that I'm better now is that, believe it or not, the older that I've got and the more seasoned I've become, I am more a collaborator with other superintendents. One thing that will probably surprise you, our county superintendents, we actually all like each other. And we all get along and we meet all the time and we discuss our problems and we discuss the problems of our community. To me, that is something that, again, is so important because there's such a wealth of knowledge within your professions that networking and communication is so important. So that's something that I would say that I think that I have definitely grown in. The thing that I would say that I wouldn't say that it's anything necessarily that I've done particularly, but the one thing I would say, I don't like the fact some people, say positional power, they like that. I can tell you right now, there aren't very many people that walk in the door just to say hi to Keith Burke. When they come in, they're coming in to talk to the superintendent about something. So I don't think that's anything I've done, but that's something that I will say that I don't like, is that there seems to be a little bit of a separation no matter how much you try to make it not a separation. And that's been a challenge for me because I am a social animal. I do like being around people and collaborate. And I think just because I'm a superintendent, people are always a little bit on edge, what I would say is that, again, just learning from that, continuing to be friendly to everyone at all times, considering to treat everyone with respect. Doesn't mean don't hold them accountable, but treat them with respect. I tell people all the time, when I've had to get rid of people, it's not really been as uncomfortable as one might think, because they know that we've worked as hard as we can with them and it's just not working. So most of them, when we've had to make a decision, it's usually been kind of a joint decision as well. And it's usually a resignation, not a termination. So, it's, I think that's very important as well, is communicating, collaborating, and making sure that people know you support them and you want them to succeed. And I tell people this all the time, and it's not a joke. The greatest thing in the world to happen to me is that everyone does their job and we don't have any turnover. I would love that. It's not going to happen, but I would love that.
Yeah. Well, he is Keith Burke, superintendent at Marion Community Schools in Indiana. We definitely appreciate your time today, Keith. Your insights, awesome. More importantly, thank you so much for what you're doing for students. And, I believe that children are our future. I've heard that somewhere, but we really do appreciate all you're doing on the front lines every day. Thank you so much for that.
And thank you so much. One thing I will say is that, Jamy does a great job. Like I said, read some of his books. They're actually excellent. And I talked to him too much, but I actually do read your books.
Well, I appreciate it. That makes, I was wondering who that one person was. So I guess you're that person. So I appreciate it. But everybody watching this on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Rumble, or you're listening to this on the audio version of the podcast, Success is a Choice podcast, we appreciate that. If you would kindly smash that like button or just tap it, whatever you want to do, that would be awesome. We definitely appreciate that. Share it with a friend. Give it to an administrator. Let a principal or a superintendent that you know, let them know about this episode. But otherwise, thanks so much for joining us today. And until next time, remember that success is a choice. What choice will you make today?